Hello and welcome to Blind Team Im. Sitting after Carlisle have just lost 2-0 at home to Forest Green in what could possibly be, if some of the fans get their way, Chris Beech's last game for the club. Um, it, it wasn't a great performance today. The first 30 minutes were okay. We were the better team at the start of the game, but Forest Green got two chances, got two goals from the pair of them, and we downed tools after that. We gave up, and that's something that I think proves that we lack a little bit of leadership. And as much as I like Callum Guy, as much as he is club captain at the minute, I think we need that Danny Granger type to sort of pick us up after that. Um, but on the beach situation, I think I don't want to see him sacked, if I'm perfectly honest with you. A lot of managers, in the current climate, it's very easy to get a manager sacked. After a few games, a few bad results, the manager gets sacked. Look at Chelsea; they've gone through so many managers. Look at Newport County; they just sacked their manager after only a few games. In this season, he was one of the longest serving managers there is. But you've got to think, you can't just look at the negatives with Chris Beech. He took us on one of the best runs I've seen as a Carlisle fan in the first half of last season. He got us to the top of the league. He's brought in so much money to the club through his recruitment and then selling on. Georgetown are a good example of this. He's currently playing in the Championship at only, I think, 21 years old. He scored a goal today. And, I think what the fault of this isn't at Chris Beech, it's with the board. And although Chris Beech does a lot of things I disagree with, there's a reason he is in that role and I'm not. And I think that's something you need to explore because, Chris Beech, these are his players. Only he knows what's happening behind the scenes. And he made some questionable substitutions today, like Brad Young being taken off. I thought that was a stupid decision. And I am going to sit here and I'm going to criticise Chris Beech. But to ask for him to be sacked from his job, I think is very harsh considering what he's done in the past. And considering that, what were Carlisle fans expecting? Because he built a brilliant squad last season, which was unfortunately ruined by COVID. Otherwise, I think we would have got promoted. But and then the board sells his best players, doesn't replace them. What do you expect to happen? Do you expect to go on that sort of run again? Because that's not going to happen. If you sell your best players and don't replace them, or don't replace them very well, then that's not going to happen. Okay, and I think the fault here lies with the board, and I think the succession talks that have been going on for what seems like 10 years now, they need to be sped up rapidly because and I think if that doesn't happen, then there's going to have to be, things getting kicked off because they're meant to be custodians. They're meant to be there because until they find a decent enough owner to take us over. And there's been previous approaches, like you'll remember the Chris Lumsden one where he approached with a bunch of local businessmen to try and help the club. This isn't. It's not that they can't find an owner, in my opinion. It's that they don't want to let go because they're making money from the club. And that's a problem. They're like the Glazers, but with none of the success. Although I suppose the Glazers aren't really brought. Well, they're like the Arsenal owners. Okay, they just take money out of the club and do the bare minimum. But I think if we're not careful, we could be looking at a relegation battle, which is so disappointing considering some fans were looking at a promotion fight at the start of the season, include myself. I'll include myself in that because I was a little bit deluded at the start of the season that we might go on and finish in the playoffs, something like that, go on a brilliant run. And we've got some of the players to do that. I think John Mellish and Callum Guy are examples, Joe Riley as well, Zach Clough, obviously Jordan Gibson. We've got players that have a bit of quality about them. Obviously Jack Armour is a very big example as well, who I thought didn't play particularly badly today. He suffered a head injury and was running around with a bandage on his head for most of the game, so I don't think he can be fully blamed for any sort of result today. But I think today lies with the manager again, like it has done in a few weeks, because it was that giving up. They're his players. He deserves to take the blame from it. And as much as I don't want him to be sacked, I understand why people are asking him to be sacked. Because that's how modern football works. And if it looks like the players have down tools, then that's what the fans are going to assume because it's happened so much. And I think the media helps to push this idea of, we need to get this man out of our club. Because football fans, by nature, overreact. They're very reactionary. And that's the joy of the sport. Football fans will react to a result they'll say things today that they maybe won't mean tomorrow out of the anger, out of the feelings, because that's what this game is. It's an emotional game, and people will, they're gonna react to what they've seen. I don't blame people who think he should be sacked, but at the same time, I don't think it's really his fault, and I think it would be unfair to sack him. People all have their different opinions, but at the minute, I think they are going to do it as a scapegoat, because I think the board, they need to find someone to blame other than themselves, because according to them, they're never to blame for anything. They've done the best according to them that they can, even though we've got one of the biggest support bases in the league and the lowest budget. There needs to be questions asked of the board, I think, and I think although Chris Beach has some questions to answer today, I don't think a loss to top of the table Forest Green is going to be the thing that pushes it over the edge. I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened last week after the absolute embarrassment of a result that was for the 4-0 against Sutton. But look, it demoralises me, and it'll demoralise every one of those fans in the stadium. And something happened at full time today that I haven't seen in a while, and that was the fans turned on the players at the very end of the game. The players, as usual, come to clap the Pioneer stand where I sit, and the fans just give them abuse, which I thought was a little bit, I like some of the players, and I like them. I like what they stand for. I like the club, pretty much. But when the fans start to turn on the players, and more importantly the manager, then it's very hard to come back from that. And I hope I'm proved wrong, and I hope, because if I am proved wrong, then that's good for the club, and that's what I want. I want good things to happen to Carlisle United, but it's going to take a lot to turn this round now, and I think it's starting to look like that's where it's heading, in the direction of Chris Beach losing his job, as much as I hate to admit that. But yeah, there isn't really that much to say on that. It's just a dull situation to be in with no obvious fix. So I'm going to leave it at that. In a bit.